Hi everyone, thank you for joining today's webinar. The purpose of the webinar is to provide some tips to help you with staying active whilst we are living through the current period of time. And for many people that limits the activity they're undertaking each day, the sort of day-to-day things you might do, walking to a shop, going out for lunch, walking around the workplace, up and down stairs, that kind of thing, the things that we're no longer able to do. Hopefully you'll find this webinar helpful if you're in that situation. So the first thing that many people can do to remain active at home is, if, for example, if you're a member of a gym, check their social media pages. Lots of gyms, my gym included, are running online classes that don't require any particular equipment, or there are some classes that require things like kettlebells, but there are usually options for those that require equipment and those that don't. So if you've got the option to do so, if you're a member of a gym, and obviously at the moment you can't get there, please do check the online pages to see if there's any classes that you can engage in from your home. If you're not a member of a gym, that's typically not a problem. If you go on YouTube, there's lots and lots of exercise classes that you can get involved in. Joe Wicks, for example, has got his body coach page on Instagram and on Twitter and Facebook, so you can watch the videos that are posted to YouTube, and they range in length from 15 minutes, for example, all the way up to half an hour, and some are for people that possibly have injuries, so it could be that it's a less impactful exercise, but certainly that would be a good place to look for some content on ways to keep active at home. Secondly, and this might not apply to everybody, who, there'll be people that don't want to go outside, or people who are self-isolating, for example, but current guidance still permits exercise outside of the house once a day, and that needs to be alone or with members of your household. With this, it's particularly relevant that it might be more appropriate to exercise outside at times of day where it's less likely to be busy. So that might be avoiding sort of 5 or 6 p.m. when those people that still are attending a place of work might be travelling. So this could be earlier in the morning, or possibly after the kind of travel time in the evening dies down. It's also recommended to stay close to your house where possible as well. So ideally not travelling by car somewhere unless there isn't anywhere you can undertake the exercise near your house. There'll be lots of people joining the webinar that find lots of traditional exercise painful, so things like jogging or high intensity interval training, those sorts of classes that Joe Wicks runs, painful for knees and hips and ankles and other joints. And it could be that you've got a pre-existing medical condition, for example, that can be exacerbated by cardio training. So there are alternates. This is about finding something that you can do. There are lots of yoga or stretching classes that are run online, so you can join them at any time. Similarly, it could be that you've got a bike. Cycling's typically less impactful on the joints than things like running is, so it could be about modifying your exercise routine at the moment to find something more comfortable. Whilst we can't attend gyms, we typically don't have access to as many pieces of equipment as we usually would. For those of you looking for ways to stay active whilst remaining indoors, there are small changes that we can make to our daily routine that can just incorporate a little bit more movement, a little bit more exercise than remaining sat at the computer or sat at the desk for most of the day. If you think that you were normally going to work, you would take lots of steps that day and lots of steps in the course of even walking to your car, or when you've parked in the office, walking to the office, walking upstairs and downstairs, probably not doing so much whilst working from home. One of the key things that research tells us is that sitting down for extended periods isn't particularly good for our health in a number of ways. So a good simple way to avoid being sat down for too long is, for example, standing up whilst you're making calls or taking calls if you're working from home. Another good thing to do is possibly incorporate walking up and down your stairs each hour throughout the day if you've got stairs in the house. If you don't have stairs in the house, it could just be walking around your living room or walking around the bedroom or the place that you are working from for that particular time, just so that your steps increase and are more like the number of steps you would take each day when you're out and about working. Another thing that can be particularly helpful, and this It's actually appropriate when you're in the office as well in many situations. But whilst you're waiting for things like the kettle to brew, or could even be whilst you're brushing your teeth, it's just adding in simple exercises. It could be some mini squats, it could be some lunges, or it could just be something like stretching. So stretching your hamstrings out by reaching down to your ankles, things like that, just to incorporate a little bit of exercise whilst you're waiting for the kind of normal day-to-day things to be done that don't require you to do anything. Something that I found particularly helpful for myself is seeing certain household chores as ways of keeping active. So it could be things like mowing the lawn, trimming hedges, hoovering, vacuuming, washing dishes. Anything of these types of activities require a bit of effort. It's going to raise your heart rate. It's going to help you active and serve as a form of exercise whilst staying indoors. It could be that you create a list of household jobs as well that you've got to do or would like to do whilst you are um, remaining at home. And each day or each week, you try to tick off a number of those. I'm thinking things like painting, things in the garden, if you've got things that could do with being tidied up. Each of these are good forms of exercise that you can undertake while staying at home. There's also lots of information on our Care First lifestyle site um, with content around staying active whilst remaining at home. So everybody that we support through Care First has access to our Care First lifestyle site. So I've just gone into an example page here. So yours will look slightly different. You can get your username and password from your HR team in the workplace. But if you go into the health section and then go into physical health, there's lots of articles that you can access. So the benefits of physical activity, pedal to fitness, interval training, and content on back pain and some medical conditions like osteoporosis as well. There's also content on there around stretching. The content is updated regularly, but it's certainly worth having a look in that section. I'm posting colleagues of yours to that section or friends, for example, supplementary information on ways of keeping fit in this particularly challenging time. Please do also bear in mind that Care First are there to support you. So as an organisation, you'll have access to a free phone telephone number. It's available 24 hours a day, and you can call up and speak to our trained counsellors and telephone information specialists if you've got any queries around your well-being through this particular time. I hope people have found today's webinar helpful. It's quite a short one, but if you've got any questions at all following on from this, everybody who's registered to join the webinar will have access to my details if you want to send in any questions at all. I'll just pause now to see if any questions have come through. So there's a couple of questions so far, so I won't read out names. So somebody's asked me to repeat the name of the YouTuber. It's Joe Wicks. He does a lot of content that you can find on YouTube. So as I say, he's got PE with Joe, which I think is more appropriate for the younger audience, but he's also got certain exercise classes on there, and they vary in length, and some require some equipment and many of them don't, but he's certainly a good place to have a look. There are lots on there as well. Another comment around people getting certain pains with different exercises. So someone getting a sore knee when cycling. And again, this is just about finding exercise that worked for you and not exercising when you're in pain. And for what it's worth, I actually get a sore knee as well after cycling and jogging. So I have to space out the days that I do exercises like that, and on other days I have to do things that are a lot less impactful. And it is particularly difficult at this time because, for example, people who would normally swim, because it's seen as an exercise that doesn't stress the joints, that's not really a possibility at the moment. So it's about finding things that you can do that don't cause you pain. Again, there's lots of content on YouTube around exercise videos that don't include burpees, they don't include squats, they don't include lunges, things that are more stressful on the knees and on certain joints. There are classes that you can find online that are designed for people that do experience joint pain. Somebody's asked for the free phone telephone number. So it's specific to your organisation, but 0800 174 319 will get you through to our counselling centre based in Gloucestershire. That may be a different number to the one you have, but it will still take you to the same place ultimately. So if you do give that telephone number a call at any time, you can come and speak to our counsellors and information specialists. Oh, that's really interesting. So someone's commented here saying you can find information on how to build a wooden frame on YouTube so you can cycle in your garage or garden with your road bike. So almost like a turbo trainer. So it sends, presumably that lifts the rear wheel so that you can cycle without going outside and coming into contact with other people. Apologies, I think someone's not, or there were sound difficulties when I was talking about swimming. So it's difficult for people who typically see swimming as their most suitable form of exercise for them. Lots of times people choose swimming as opposed to running or jogging or cycling because it's seen as something that doesn't stress the joints so much. And as people don't have access to swimming pools at the moment because of social distancing and lockdown, it is quite difficult for people that are trying now to keep fit but can't swim. So what I was saying was it's helpful to have a look on YouTube, for example, or other platforms, particularly if people are a member of a gym, go on their social media pages and see if they're running any exercise classes that are suitable for them with the particular ailments, particular issues that people experience with their own joints, which is unique to each of us. Question around how people register with Care First Lifestyle. So by virtue of the fact that you've been able to register for this webinar, your organisation has access to Lifestyle. It's specific to each organisation, so I can't provide you with your login details. You would need to speak to your HR team in the first instance, but you'll have an organisation username and an organisation password that will get you in. It's not specific to any one person, it's specific to the organisation that you work for. I'll just hold on for a few more minutes to see if there are any further questions that people have. It could be things that we've discussed on the webinar or about Care First more widely. The other thing I would say is that we're running webinars each day this week and indeed next week and for the coming weeks whilst we are still in the period that we're in. So if you have any interest in viewing any of the other webinars, please do access the Care First Lifestyle site, go to the section on COVID-19 and you can see the upcoming webinars that we're running. If there are any particular themes that you feel are relevant to you, please do join. Thank you to everyone who's joined today's webinar. I'm just going to draw it to a close now. But as I say, you'll receive an email after this webinar and you'll have my details if you'd like to send in an email of any questions that you have specific to this webinar. Thanks very much, everyone. Have a good afternoon.